Bonjour tout le monde et bienvenue sur un nouvel épisode de On peut le dire. Today we're looking at the letter E and the different graphemes and sounds that that letter can produce in French. The first one that we're going to look at is just E on its own. So if you have E on its own, like so, and it could be at the end of a word, which is what this shows, or mid-word, E without an accent, then it's a very soft sound and you might not even hear it. For example, you have je, so that's quite soft and it quite often drops and becomes je. You have le, and for example cheval, cheval, so all these E are soft E, okay? Je, le, cheval. You could meet the ending es in articles, so in determiners like my or the or some, in which case we're going to say et. So for example, les, mes, tes, des. Okay? So if you have an es ending for articles, you're going to say e. We have a similar e sound. So if I do, if we do this to show that we've moved on, that was a soft e sound, and now we have an e sound, which I will add in a minute. So if you have e with an accent, e acute, could be followed by an E, could be followed by an S, but E acute is always going to be an A sound. For instance, in the words école, which means school, école, and here you notice this final E, like I said at the top, is one that can be dropped, école. We don't say école, école. And fait, which means fairy, fait, école. So E acute is always sounding E. Okay, and another context in which we're going to have an E sound is if we see E followed by a consonant at the end of a word. E followed by a consonant at the end of a word. Typically that would be your infinitives. So for example, manger, to eat, manger, er. Okay. You also have the connective e, so that's going to sound e. I'm just thinking now of one exception here. If you have at the end of a word es and it's not an article, then if the S is a plural mark of a noun, for example, we won't hear the ending. So, école, plural, schools, we don't hear the end, okay? Because although it's ES at the end of a word, it's at the end of a noun, but ES will sound like A only for articles. So these three all make an E sound, a closed E sound. Next up, we have a more open case, so E with an accent grave, so the acute goes up and the grave goes down. That's going to sound E, a more open E sound. For example, mère, which means mother, mère, so more open. Another context in which you're going to have an open E is E with a circumflex, which can be seen in the noun tête, which means head, tête. Another one, which is quite unique really, so I'm giving it a category of its own, is est for is. Now this one should be pronounced in theory. In practice, a lot of people actually pronounce it like an E acute. Okay, so A for is. In theory, in practice, it's often easier to just say A. We go with the easier option, the less effort option. Another context in which you're going to have to say an open E is if you have E followed by a consonant that we do sound out. Alright, so previously we had E and a consonant that we don't hear as a consonant. So for example, ER, ET, EZ would be another one, so I can add ne here. Alright, but if you have the consonants B, C, R, F, N, generally speaking, you need to sound them out. Generally, not always. You can remember that because it spells be careful. But also be careful because it's not always the case. But if you have an E at the end, if you have an E followed by a consonant that we sound out at the end of a word, then you're going to have an E sound. So my example here is the preposition avec, with, avec. So you have E, the C is sounded out as a K sound, avec. And you could also meet E followed by two consonants, E plus two consonants, in which case you also have an open E sound. So we'll have two examples here. We have the adjective belle, belle, E double L E. So we know the last E won't be sounded out strongly. And we have E with two consonants, so belle, beautiful. And the verb terminer, terminer, we can see E, R, M. R and M are both consonants, so we have an open S sound. Okay, so these, all of these create an open E sound. Moving on, another case that we might see, which is slightly related, is if you have E, I, L, possibly double L, E. In that case, we're going to say A. For instance, soleil, for sun, soleil, or je me réveille, which is I wake up. Je me réveille, I wake up. E-I-L or E-I-double-L-E, or any variations of that really. Je me réveille, soleil, sun, and I wake up. So, which color did I want? This one, I think. So that's going to be more like an A sound, which is this in IPA, A. Ensuite, on refait une ligne, tac, et on va passer à E. Okay, so if we see E followed by U followed by a silent consonant, which is what the brackets show, silent consonant, we are going to say E, and it's quite a close E. So for instance, je for game, je rather than je, and you have that in je peux. Est-ce que je peux aller dehors? Can I go outside? Je peux. So E-U-X, the X is silent. And so we say je peux, quite a closed one, which is, if I'm not mistaken, this code, E. Now we could have something slightly different, but still similar. The next two are open versions of this one. So E is quite closed, and then if we have E followed by a consonant that you do hear, and it's the end of the word, then we're going to open it up. So for example, in sœur, no, I did the wrong one. It's not the one I wanted. R, shame, neuf, the number 9, neuf, E-U, and then F is pronounced neuf. So it opens up the E sound. So je peux, neuf. And the next one is that famous O-E-U, followed by a consonant. For instance, sœur, which is the one I wanted to put too early. Sœur. So we hear the R, which makes us open up the vowel E. So I think this is the IPA code for it. Okay, so neuf, sœur, open. So the next option you could meet is either E-U-I-L or O-E-I-L. In both cases, this is going to make us sound œil, œil, and my example words are fauteuil, which means armchair, fauteuil, okay, and œil, which means eye. An eye for an eye, œil pour œil, dent pour dent. So they both do the same thing. Same sound, which is an œil sound, which I would probably code this way in the IPA, International Phonetic Alphabet. Next up, we have E, A, U when they are together. Right now, together these letters will create the sound O. For example, eau, which means water, or the adjective beau, which means beautiful. So this was beautiful feminine, and this one is beautiful masculine. Beau, O, so that makes an O sound. Close, O. Boom. Ok. Je sais pas pourquoi je l'ai fermé, parce que j'en ai encore besoin. Tac. Ensuite, we're almost done. Okay, so the next one, you could meet E-I-N. Arguably E-I-M would do the same thing, but there's only one word I can think of that uses that, and I've never really needed it. So I don't think it's particularly relevant. But example in E-I-N, peinture, peinture, painting, or it can mean, so it can be painting the activity or painting as in the object of painting. So that's an A sound, A nasal, which is un. Peinture, un. And the last one we're looking at today is the E-N or E-M combo. That makes an en sound. For instance, en France, just for context, in France, en France. And for E-M, emporter, which means to take away. So if you want to order some takeaway in France, it would be de la nourriture à emporter, to take away. And so that sound is an en sound, which is coded this way. So this is what we have for E. So it's a super versatile letter we have in French. As you can see, it contributes to many different sounds. So you have an E that can easily be dropped. You have E, you have E, you have A, you have E, you have E, you have œil, O, un, and en. Alright, and that is it for us today. I hope this was helpful. Let me know if it did help in the comments below. Let me know if you have extra questions. Let me know if you have specific letters or sounds that you're struggling with. And like if you like the video, subscribe if you haven't already done so, and share it with people you think this might help. And I shall see you in another video. Au revoir, and don't forget, on peut le dire. The tongue twister we use in French for ch sound is les chaussettes de l'archiduchesse sont-elles sèches, archi sèches.